Hi, the influential study that I chose to do was over genetics and evolutionary psychology. Um, so, the study that I chose was the sources of human psychological differences, the Minnesota study of twins reared apart. It was conducted by Thomas J. Bouchard and his colleagues, and it began in 1979, even though it was published in 1990. And the purpose of the study was that researchers studied monozygotic twins who were separated in early life and raised apart. Examining these twins provided a way to separate the influence of environmental and genetic factors on human characteristics. Oops. Okay. The hypothesis of the study was that the researchers hypothesized that genetic differences affect psychological differences largely and directly by influencing the affective environment of the developing child. So it was expected that monozygotic twins reared together and apart would have a high concordance rate due to the inheritance of their genes, and it was also expected that monozygotic twins would have a higher concordance rate than dizygotic twins. So the method of this study, IQ was at the center of the nature versus nurture debate, and one of the things that the researchers really wanted to see was the influence that their environment had on their intelligence and their IQ. So they were 100 sets of the monozygotic and dizygotic twins were evaluated by testing to find out their IQs to determine the influence of their rearing environment. There are two general results from the original study. The first was that genetic factors exert a pronounced influence on behavioral variability. The effect of being reared in the same home is negligible for many psychological traits. So basically, they found that identical twins who were reared apart had the same chance of being similar as twins who were raised apart. The IQ scores of the monozygotic twins reared apart were similar, and it basically founded that genetics have a large influence on behavioral habits. The importance of the study to modern psychology is that the evidence supports that genetic factors and inheritance play a significant part in the development of individuals and their characteristics and interests. Two studies that came afterwards, more recently, the first was conducted in 2018, so that's a typo, and it was done regarding twins reared apart and twins in family, findings behind fascination. So Dr. Segal actually went and found other examples of twins who were reared apart. And in her findings, she found identical twins who were reared apart and had different educational backgrounds, which played a role in their performance. And so the lack of education affects the genetic potentials depending on what their resources are in their environment. The second study was genetic and environmental influences on applied creativity. The original study was referenced in the applied creativity study, and the basic finding from that was that applied creativity is partly heritable. I'll just go back. So although the findings are hard to generalize, they can be used to determine the role that genes play in an individual's intelligence and personality. That's it. How do I stop